Hey guys, and welcome back to the 315 Sports Podcast. Today, it was highly requested by Shane that he wanted to do top 15 hottest dudes in JD history. Um, so that's not what we're gonna do today. We're gonna hold off on that one. We're gonna do the top 15 JD athletes of our high school career. So 2016 to 2019. So no Dajuan Coleman's, no Tyler Kavanaugh's will be on the list. As well, it's going to be an all dudes list. So previous to the list, I'm going to name off some of the best female athletes in JD history. So we'll start right now. We have Meg Hare for basketball, Anna Dieroff, Lindsey McLaughlin, Jamie Boeheim, Sophia Demkopoulos, Alex Payne, Alexis Leclerc, Maddie Ferris, Shayna Mishral, Allie Durkin, Lena Jones, one of the greatest golfers I think JD's seen. Momo Leclerc, Gabby Stickle, Sophia Vinskera, Hannah Butler, and if I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry. You're all great athletes. Those are just the first ones that came to my mind. So, and then as well, some male athletes that won't make the list would include like Nico Demkopoulos, great soccer player. If he played for JD, he would have been on this list, but he never actually played for JD because he was too good. And then as well, like Thomas Harley never made it to high school. So I think we'll start with Gib. Gib can give us our first his first male athlete, and then
I'll give you an easy one here. I'm gonna go with Buddy, good old Buddy. Buddy before becoming a superstar in basketball was also a pretty good baseball player too when we were in middle school. But I mean, he's a Division I basketball player in a Power 5 conference, starting on a Power 5 conference team, averaging like 15 points a game. So shout out, Buddy. Love you, bro. And maybe you'll see this, maybe you won't.
Yep. To clarify, none of these are in order. So it's just gonna kind of be random. But I think we'll all say Buddy first, probably best athlete of our high school career.
Sure.
Fun to watch Syracuse. The GOAT.
For my guy, before I say my guy real quick, my list is mainly based off of guys I played with or watched, and I was big, I played football and I watched a lot of baseball and basketball and played basketball for a while. So some guys that I just wanted to throw some honorable mentions out there because they're not necessarily on my list, but definitely could make a list, or Griff Cook, Will Davis, Connor Durkin, Tyler Brang, Ryan Archer, anybody off that 2016 championship team our sophomore year. For the volleyball sport, Nick Mendelis and Matt Saplicki. For golf, Turner and Jelly. For track, our big man, Nick Mannion. Other baseball guys that could have made my list easily are Murph, Tail, and Goody. Those are just guys I watched play, but my first guy I wanted to talk about for my list. Actually, I'm going to go with Buddy because he's also on my list and we're already on Buddy. Buddy, definitely on everybody's list, dominated high school basketball junior year, CNY player of the year, put up some crazy stats, all-around great high school basketball player. It was fun watching him. We're happy for McCuse right now. He's killing it. One of the best work athletes to come through JD, along with probably the best athlete while we were in high school. So that was an easy pick.
All right. One guy I want to name right away off my list is Luke Smith. First of all, probably the nicest person I've ever met in my life. But he was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and he was solid at, basketball, football, and baseball. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gib, but he's playing at Haverford right now?
Yeah, Haverford. Yep. All right, so for my second guy, I'm just going to say the other Boeheim, Jimmy. I don't really have any of the kids that were seniors when we were freshmen, but Jimmy's an obvious one because he was, playing Division I basketball is probably one of the more difficult Division I sports to play, especially men's basketball, especially coming from like a predominantly a smaller school like we have at JD. Even though he went to prep, still the same type of thing. But he's balling at Cornell, and he was the best player on the basketball team when we were freshmen. So shout out Jimmy.
Yep, like Gib just said, there's not going to be that many seniors when we were freshmen, just because I don't fully remember, but I think we all have Jimmy on our list as well. I forgot to name my honorable mentions before I said Buddy, so I'll name them right now. I got Taku Leclerc. He hit some big shots in JD basketball history. Then I got 3 tennis players here. We got Peter Haddon, Essex Skolowacki, and then Drew Nanavati. They went to states, I'm pretty sure, back-to-back years. Then I got Luke Smith, as Shane said. I got Turner Pomeroy and Bailey Dowse for the hockey team. Matt Splicki slowly became one of the best volleyball players to come through JD as well. Started on varsity, and then I got our own Shane Wright sitting on the list in my honorable mentions. Could have played basketball at JD, but decided to take his talents to CYO. So he's on the list for baseball and football here. So those are my honorable mentions, along with Jimmy Boeheim, who's on the real list. Obviously, when we were seniors, we all looked up to him. He was the best player on that team. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would put Jimmy on my list. I just didn't get to watch him enough. I wish we were a little bit older, so we could have had seen 2 years with Buddy and Jimmy, but he definitely deserves to be on this list. Regardless, I just didn't see him play enough for me. But, I mean, he's definitely like a top 15. That's not even a doubt question. So, next guy I'm going to talk about is actually a brother of one of the players on this podcast, Jake Wright. As I told Jake, he was probably the best high school football player I ever played with or against, easily the best defensive player I ever played with or against. Complete dog. So happy. One of the things I was blessed to get with him my sophomore year was to play with Jake for an extra year. Really happy for him at Cuse right now. He deserves it. He's a hell of a football player. Just a great natural talent, hard worker, puts his head down and grinds, and I respect the hell out of him for it. And he had to be on my list.
Am I up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just get it out of the way now. I'm going with my brother on my list. 4-year varsity football and varsity wrestler. In wrestling, he was a section champ, went to states twice. In football, of course, he was an all-state player. Now he's playing at Syracuse. He's a walk-on. So he's got to make my top 15.
Yeah, so for my next guy, I got Luke Smith, like Shane already said. He was a 3-sport athlete in high school, which is hard to do to begin with. He was a 4-year varsity baseball player. I think he played varsity football for 3 years too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And then he played 2 years of varsity basketball, which is super impressive. And he's, like Shane said, he's the nicest kid you could have ever met in your life.
Right.
Did everything the right way, super smart, super, just athletically gifted, super hard worker. It's a pleasure getting to play baseball with him for 2 years. And I'm happy for him down at Haverford, and I just wish him the best of luck in whatever he does. And I know we're going to be talking about Luke Smith like 10 years from now, like running for president or something like that, because that's just the type of kid he is. Mm-hmm. So shout out Luke Smith.
Yeah, shout out Luke Smith. He's a Colts fan. He knows well. Next guy on my list is Josh Kowalczyk. He's most known for being that JD quarterback during our days until that injury that ruined his. Was that his senior year?
Yeah, it's a senior year.
Yeah, that was sad to watch. And then as well played baseball, pitcher just like his brother, Carter, and yeah, I mean he's probably one of the best. I assume he's on all your lists, so you guys will probably know more about him just because Gibby played with him, and Steve played with him, and Shane, all of you guys. So yeah, I got him on my list.
Yeah, no, if you guys name a player first, I'll just go off of them. So I had Luke on my list, and I'm going to Josh. Definitely going to talk about Josh. Has definitely had to make my list for both football and baseball. Josh is a great quarterback. He taught me a lot of things Josh was a great leader overall, on and off the field. Complete dog, one of the best work ethics. Well, I was at JD. Proved it on the diamond, senior year and junior year, but senior year especially, just went off, complete beast. Without guys like Josh Kowalczyk, Matt Paul, Terrence, Trey Green, Mike Crossett, without them, I probably wouldn't have been able to make that jump my sophomore year for football, so I'm grateful for that. But Josh is definitely one of the best athletes I played with in my time at JD.
Another guy in my top 15 we already talked about, Buddy Buckets. He was awesome in high school, and now he's averaging 15 points a game for Syracuse, the best school in the country. So he easily made my list.
Very true.
Yeah, so on my list I got Josh too. Other than being a quarterback, because he got hurt his leg, but that injury that he had and then the bounce back from it, like he had like a Gordon Hayward type, like he could have had like a life-changing injury. That's what he had. And he came back 6-7 months after that and pitched probably one of the 2 best seasons in JD history. He struck out like 70-plus guys, became our ace the whole year, and basically almost won us the game against Whitesboro in the sectional championship. And like Steve said, he's a great leader. He's a great friend of mine. I've known him for basically my whole life. and it was a pleasure to play with him. And I just wish we all could have seen him play that last year of football too, because I think there was something special that was going to happen that year possibly, and he would have been a big part of what could have been.
I think he could have been Senior Player of the Year.
But shout out Josh, you were still a kick-ass pitcher our senior year and even your junior year. But senior year, you were awesome. I think you were all CNY, so good for you, Josh.
Next on my list, I have Ryan Archer. He's probably the best JD Lax player from our high school careers at Hobart now. I know our freshman year when they won the state chip, he was leader in points and in goals, I believe. Him or Griff Cook. So yeah, I mean he probably still is the best or second best along with Jordan Evans, but we know what happened with Jordan. So yeah, I had to put Ryan on the list.
I haven't said Hannes yet, right?
No.
My next guy is my quarterback through it all. Complete beast, Adam Hannes, hell of a wrestler too. But just going off of football, being he got brought up in my sophomore year too. He played linebacker for a game against Carthage. I think he's going to laugh when we talk about that, but that was quite the performance. And then he got moved to quarterback right after Josh got hurt, and he stepped in the big shoes. Jake was quarterback originally, but then we realized Jake was a football player, not a quarterback. Love you, Jake. And then we put Adam at quarterback, and we torched Fulton for over 35 points. Most we scored in 2 years, completely went off. He was player of the week that year for Class A. And then I knew he was going to be special after that. I always believed in him, but that was when his breakaway. And he holds all sorts of JD records. Sling the ball over the field our senior year, even though we struggled. Put up some crazy statistics. Won our MVP our senior year for football, was well-deserved. So he was an easy pick for me, especially because he's going to be somebody we're going to talk about for JD football for years to come.
Yep, another guy on my list, guy we all already talked about a little bit, but Josh Kowalczyk, he's a solid football player. He was a great baseball player. When I got pulled up my sophomore year for sectionals for varsity baseball, just watching him pitch, he was dominant. He was an ultimate competitor, man. He was, he's a guy to look up to. As Teo would say, he was dominant.
All right, so another guy on my list, I'm just going to get it out of the way. I'm just going to say Jake Wright. I mean, he's basically living like the dream of every kid that plays football in Syracuse, which is playing football at Syracuse. Whether it's walk-on or not, Jake's a dog. He's going to get a chance to play. I know he will because of how fucking good he is. I mean, he had 30 tackles in a high school football game, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And like Shane said too, he's a great wrestler. And he's like, for a kid that wasn't like loud and he just did his own thing pretty much throughout high school. A lot of respect to Jake. And I really do think he's going to get his chance at SU, and I hope he balls out when it happens because he's fucking good.
Yep. Jake is coming later on my list. Once again, there's no real orders. Guys I thought of first. Next guy is another guy from that Lax team, Griffin Cook. We know how good of a attacker he was, how many goals he scored, and as well now he's at Syracuse. Pretty sure he's doing pretty well this season before it all got shut down. But once again, just one of the best Lax players at JD. I can't recall if he played any other sports, but I mean, he was so good at lacrosse that I don't really think it matters, and I think he is one of the best from our high school career.
Next guy I'm going to talk about, another guy I played alongside, Mikey Anderson. Mikey was an electric football player, best offensive back I played with or against in my time at JD. He's proving right now at Ithaca. He had a huge game against St. John Fisher this year. It was very impressive in Cortica. I always told Ormond, blocking for Mikey was the easiest thing I've ever done because we ran Rocket all my junior year, and I know if I get my hands on one guy, Mikey'd be gone. Mikey had breakaway touchdowns, Fulton, Watertown, Fowler, Carthage. It's endless teams. He was a phenomenal football player and a complete dog. And, it sucks that he's playing for Ithaca now. That I'm happy for him that he's doing really well.
Like you, Tim, another guy on my list is Griffin Cook. I don't know much about lacrosse, but I know enough to know that, he's a stud in the sport. He's playing at Syracuse, who was, ranked number 1 in the nation this season before, the season was canceled, which sucks. But, yep, he easily made my top 15.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the package deal with Ryan Archer and Griffin Cook together. Like Shane said, I don't know much about lacrosse, but when you go to a game, they basically scored every goal, so they must be doing something right. And they're both playing at good Division I schools, Arch at Hobart and Cook at Syracuse. and SU's the number one team in the country. It's like going to play basketball at Duke or Kentucky. So both of them were studs, and both of them won a state championship, which is probably the most impressive thing you can do in high school sports. So shout out to both of them.
Next guy on my list is volleyball player Ryan Middleton. Some of you guys might know who that is. Ninth grade when I joined the volleyball team, he was someone I looked up to. I mean, I wasn't as tall and I was never going to be a hitter, but just him being the best player on that varsity team, and nice guy. Like, we became friends quick. Played beach volleyball with him, so he was once again one of the best volleyball players to come through JD, and also just a nice guy. So he had to make the top 15. Shout out to the JD volleyball.
Get some hops. I remember him.
Fly Rye. That's what they call him.
Yeah, that's what it was. Fly Rye. Yeah. Next guy. Whether we were playing together or not right now, regardless, Trey Green, complete lockdown corner, hard hitter, one of the hardest hitters I probably ever played with in high school. Him and another guy that could have been on this list, but shout out to Matt Paul, part of the no-fly zone team. I was part of my sophomore year. Best defense in Section 3. Best passing defense, one of the best passing defenses in the state. I was lucky to play with those guys and alongside those guys. I'm happy I'm still playing with Trey, and he had to make my list. So shout out Trey.
Yeah, Gib, going back to what you were saying, another guy on my list is Ryan Archer. I don't know much about lacrosse, like I said, but, I know he won a state championship, and he was very solid, and he's playing at Hobart. So, yeah, he made my list.
Next guy on my list is Matt Capps. I think he played varsity baseball for 4 years, and then he played football, 1 year JV, then 1 year varsity, but he could have played football 4 years. He probably could have played basketball too. He was a really good athlete, freak athlete, great baseball player. Definitely was one of the guys that helped me, really kind of mesh with the team when I moved up from JV to varsity at the beginning of sophomore year. I love him to death. He was a great captain, great player, and one of my good friends playing baseball with. Shout out Caps.
Next guy on my list is a guy I know is coming soon on everyone else's, Scotty O'Brien. Dominant on the baseball field. He would hit nukes. Pretty sure he's at Siena right now.
No, he's at Niagara Community College. He transferred.
Okay, he transferred, but I mean, he I don't know. I loved watching him play, especially. It was easy to go to the games because all my friends are on the team, but you knew when he stepped up to the plate, he could send one to center field. So, one of the best baseball players I've seen at JD. So he had to make the list.
Next guy, and this was an unbiased. Like I said, these guys I played with and played against, or not played. I played with in my time JD and watched play. And unbiasedly, I think Shane deserved to be on my list for guys I played with. Just talking about my past year for football, this is a predominantly list of football guys. Shane definitely deserved to be on there. Easily one of the best players this past year. Made some big plays at big times. Best defensive player for probably about half our games. Played his heart out all season. I used to get honest asked in the off season, but he always played really well in the season, so I couldn't give him too much shit about it. Best D end I played with or against. He never had the size of the guys in Whitesboro and Indian River, but he continually balled out. So I love him for it. And he also happens to be probably the greatest CYO player ever, averaging 35 a game. But that's a side note. But that didn't play into his role of getting on the list. But if it was, he'd probably be on everybody's list. So I had Shane on my list.
Steve, thank you, first of all. I have you on my list as well, but I'm going to wait to get to you. But another guy on my list is Pat Murad, 3-sport athlete. He was a stud in all of them. Football, he was a fantastic receiver. Basketball, he was great, won a sectional championship. And he was awesome in lacrosse too, and that's why he's playing Division I at Binghamton right now for lacrosse.
Yeah, so a guy Steve already said is Mikey Anderson. Again, I don't know much about the technicalities of football, but I mean, he's a freak athlete, super fast, super quick. I mean, he had all the tools to really be he could have played anywhere pretty much. If he went to a bigger school, he probably been playing Division I football. Let's keep it real. But happy for him at Ithaca, hearing from Steve and Carter and Josh that he's doing well and playing well. So good for him, and he was definitely fun to watch and definitely one of the best athletes while we were in high school.
100%. Sure.
Yeah, my next, basically I can't put everyone in the top 15, so this would just be a collection of just all my friends that played baseball and football. So it'd be Carter, Zach, Mateo, Murphy, Brad, everyone, Jelly. Like everyone was part of that team last year. Getting to some of them deserve their own spot later in the list. But everyone that was on that team last year and was so close to winning that sectional game versus Whitesboro, because fuck Whitesboro, that just made me smile. That would have been cherry on top to everything to end the senior season. But I mean, we know what happened, but we know we were the better team. So.
All right, am I up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next guy, I don't know if he's been anybody else's list, but to me, being the football bias I am, I'm going to go Kelvin Hahn. Talking to Cod in the offseason, we were both been talking about, and even the banquet. This is Kelvin's probably one of the best two-way players to ever come through JD. He did it quietly too. While he was a captain, Kelvin dominated both sides of the ball, averaging right over around 15 or 16 tackles a game, just crazy. And then at the end of the season, averaging the most receptions per game in Section 3. When you got a guy like Pat Murad also on your team, who'll be later on my list, it's tough to get them in your receptions, and he was that dominant. Kept us in games, complete dog. Even though he annoyed me every next day, every Monday with showing me his highlights in the hallway when I wanted to slam his head into the locker because we lost by 30. But he's still a dog and he's still a baller, so he made my list.
Another guy on my list is a day one brother of mine. That's Adam Hannes. He's an awesome football quarterback. I don't know if the records he broke are official yet, Steve. You can tell me, but
yeah, he's got like a couple of them.
He broke records in touchdowns and passing yards. So, but I think I said earlier Jake was a 4-year wrestler. Well, I was wrong because him and Adam are 5-year wrestlers. Adam was an awesome wrestler, 5-year varsity wrestlers. Adam was awesome. Should have a sectional championship under his belt, but things happen. Adam, don't get mad at me for saying that. But yeah, he's figuring out college right now, and I hope he finds the right fit because he's a great athlete with a ton of potential. So we'll see.
Yeah, so for my next guy, it's another baseball player, another one of those seniors on that team when I was a sophomore, is Casey Kretsch. His senior year, I think when most of you guys probably started to pay attention more to the varsity baseball team, definitely wasn't as good as a junior year. But being a baseball player, I went to a couple of their games when my freshman year, his junior year, and Casey absolutely raked that year. I think he hit above 400. I think he holds the school record for quality at bats, which is a very impressive stat to have. He plays at Lemoyne now. He's a great pitcher too. Our closer, our sophomore year, and just another one of those guys that really, let me become part of like the baseball family. And another guy that I have nothing but good things to say about. So shout out Casey.
Next guy on my list is the first person that is younger than us. I have Durkin on the list, Connor Durkin. Awesome lacrosse player. I wish, once again, lacrosse season canceled, so we never got to see his senior season, but we already know he's committed to Hobart, Division I, top 25 school in terms of lacrosse in the nation. He's going there with Doobie. Doobie's a good defender as well, but Dirk was just that offensive threat where he could score, but he was known for his passing, racked up the assist. So we know what he'll do at Hobart, but hopefully the lacrosse season still gets played somehow, so we can see what he would do senior year.
Next guy for me is another basketball player, and I played basketball to my junior year, and then was one of the bigger fans my senior year, and that's my boy Max Shulman. Max was always the best basketball player in our grade and dominated since youth JYA. It's funny because whatever team he was on, always found a way to the championship, and he got it done at the end of the day. My former point guard. It was always easier to play with Max. He's gotten better ever since he was like 8 or 9 years old. Every year I felt like he got better. We were all just trying to catch up. But getting into that, before Max his growth spurt, he completely dominated all of us. Then he got taller, and I was like, what the hell? Like, this is just tough. Max is a complete baller. Love playing pickup with him. It was always fun playing basketball with him. He had to be on my list because I think he was easily one of the best athletes in our grade, our time at JD. So, and I'm so happy that him and Murad and the boys, Nick Mendelis was jumping on him. We had a chance to win that sectional championship that our senior year. Smacking Grimes, giving it to McKinney. Love Coach Mack, but I was happy to see JD win that game.
Another guy on my list is Asia Ortega. This kid is dominant. Watching him play, he's just dominant. He's just so dominant. No, AJ's a great guy. He's an awesome teammate. but he was amazing this season. You know, especially in the sectional championship, he went, you know, head to head with a St. John's commit, Avery Cook, and he was, you know, CNY Player of the Year. Am I correct? Right?
I think he was our
Our
league's, but I think Cook was the whole CNY Player of the Year.
league player of the year.
Our league's Player of the Year.
Either way, you know.
Yeah, either way, it's still very impressive.
Now he's playing at Emerson. You know, I hope he does well in college. But AJ, you're a great teammate, buddy.
So the next two, I can't put them both on the list because it wouldn't fit, but they both deserve to be on the list, are two of my probably closer friends that I made through baseball, Scotty and Parker. Love you guys both. You know that. Again, two guys that really helped me gel into the team my sophomore year and then our junior year, both great leaders. Pa, you were my shortstop. Got to play next to you for a whole season. It's a lot of fun playing with you. And Scott, I mean, you're a freak athlete to begin with. Super fast, super tall. You could fucking throw the ball like 90 miles an hour from the outfield, even though sometimes you throw it over the backstop. You could also hit bombs. You were great both of you guys were great to play with, and both of you guys are friends for life. And I hope nothing but the best of luck for both of you in your future college endeavors. I think, Pa, you're going to Cass College, if I'm correct. And Scott, I don't know where you're going after Niagara, but I know you'll find your spot. So hope nothing but the best for you too.
Yeah, the next two guys already got talked about. So I'll just skip to my third after I mention these guys, Shulman and then Ortega. Shulman, one of the best basketball players at JD during our time and the best in our grade. Obviously won that sectional chip and then hosted the 3v3 tournament where he allows me to showcase my skill set. And then AJ, one of my earliest friends growing up, and then watching him just develop into the star pitcher that he was, going to Emerson. But that sectional championship game was phenomenal to watch. What was it? It was like 9 scoreless or something. Like
9 scoreless against the top scoring offense in Section 3, Class A.
Yeah, just dominant. But then since they already got talked about, I'll skip past to the first and probably only swimmer that anyone will name today, Ryan Evans. Well, he was more known for his diving, but he would go to states every year for diving, and then as well he was on the volleyball team with me. Goofball. Me and him got benched for one game for videotaping something, but we won't talk about that. That stays with the volleyball team. It was a fight between Ben Wright and someone. But then he also played lacrosse, so he was a 3-sport athlete, and just one of the funniest guys I know. So I had to put him on the list.
All right, to transition from Ryan Evans, I'm going to go to Division I talent, Peyton Shumper. Peyton, just a little bit about Shump. I used to work out with his dad for BBA. Dad, great guy, 7th all-time leading scorer at Syracuse. A little too young for us to watch, but such a bucket. Just ask Shane's dad used to commentate those games when he was on the team. Shump has been D1 talent from the day he stepped onto the school at JD. Countless big games, gifted passer, rebounder. I always loved playing with him because he was one of those guys who was a star, but he always made the right pass too. He'd give you 18, 20 a game plus, but he'd also give you a bunch of assists and rebounds. I love watching him play. Always a stud, always will be a stud. Good luck to him going forward with whatever decisions he makes. Love Shump, and I really, really appreciate the opportunity to play with him for the year I did.
All right, another guy on my list, you know, someone you talked about a little bit, Gib, is Matt Capoletti. But like Josh, you know, he's another kid where when I was pulled up my sophomore year watching him play, it's like, you know, holy shit, like this kid's the real deal. You know, I'll never forget in the playoffs when you sent that ball off the wall to what was that, to tie the game, right?
No, it was 0-0 against CBA, and it was like the 12th inning, and he hit that ball off the wall, and then like the next pitch, the kid it was like a wild pitch, and then he scored, so he pretty much won the game like in one inning.
That was at OCC, right? And
yeah,
he almost had a walk-off home run there. Like, you know, he was awesome, and he was a pretty good football player too. Now he's playing baseball at Hamilton, so I'll always remember him as, you know, a really good athlete during my time at JD.
So I'm gonna list 3 guys that we already all listened and just talk about them for a quick sec. Pat, Max, and Hannes. Pat, you were a pleasure to play basketball with for all those years till I stopped playing. And you're a great lacrosse player, and you were a great wide receiver too. Super fast, super quick. Always fun to play any sport with or any sport against. He's a fierce competitor. And I hope everything at Binghamton goes well with you. Shulman, you're probably the first kid I ever met that went to JD when we used to play at the Y when we were like 3 and 4. Lifelong friend. I mean, you like Steve said, every year when we were all playing basketball, you continuously just got better and better and better. And then you hit a growth spurt, and then it was like you were by far the best player, always the best player in our grade, in my opinion. I don't even think it was really close.
For sure.
And had a really good career playing, starting for 2 years on the basketball team at JD, winning a title as a starter, then winning a title when Buddy was there when we were sophomores. Like I said, lifelong friend, and I hope everything goes well playing club at Ohio State, which is one of the better club teams, I think, in the country. And then Hannes, again, you were a great quarterback, and then probably even a better wrestler, like in terms of sport. But always fun to watch you play quarterback because it was fun watching like a high school team throw the ball, and that's what you did a lot, and you did it very well. And I mean, all three of these guys are just great athletes, and they're all good friends of mine too.
Next guy on my list is a podcast member here. We got Nolan Giblin on my list. He didn't want to put himself on his own list because he was afraid to. So I know we all had to put him. So I had to put him here. That walk off against shitty ESM was my favorite JD baseball moment. Just the crowd reaction sitting next to Steve, his screaming. But then Gib, three-year varsity baseball player. Now he's at Mercy. Gonna keep doing good things, and one of my favorite players to watch in JD history.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Going off that, like I'm just gonna recognize when Gib talked about first. I'll talk about Pat because we've already talked about him. From your ad, I don't know how much more you can say about him. Great athlete, natural speed, great lax player, D1 lax player, complete dog of a baller. On the basketball court, he was the Patrick Beverly of our team this year, just chirping anybody and everybody. I love it. Always a complete playmaker in the football field. I used to get on his ass, and he always delivered. And oh my God, he's just the man out there. Always loved playing alongside him. He's a complete dog, and I want to say here, played with one of the guys who played the most hard at JD. So definitely glad we all recognize him there. And then moving on to, of course, my brother Gib, that Tim just talked about, just to elaborate on, complete dog, baller on the diamond, big-time playmaker. Been one of the best hitters and players on varsity since his sophomore year, which I think you bet around 300 that year, the sophomore year, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I hit 330 my sophomore year.
330, yeah. No, I remember seeing that. I'm just like, yeah, he's meant to be here for sure. And he's one of those guys, hell of an athlete, one of the best basketball players I've seen in my time at JD. And I went to a bunch of games every year, and I love supporting the boys. That walk-off against ESN was probably one of my favorite moments being at JD. Like athlete or not, whatever, sport or not, it was probably one of my favorite moments just watching that OCC. And the entire sectional tournament with you guys, I loved watching that. So it had to be on my list. No bias, no matter what.
Appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Next guy on my list is a guy we already talked about, a really good friend of mine, great basketball player, Max Schulman. You know, like you were saying, Gib, he's always been known for being the best basketball player in our grade, which, in my opinion, he always was. He never had the size over everybody, but the thing about Max growing up with him is he always found a way to win. You know, he's an awesome competitor. You know, he won a sectional championship with JD as a starting point guard, and he played 3 years varsity.
Yeah.
Well,
Max,
It was like a pull up at the end of the year, sophomore year.
too busy dominating JV until the end of the year.
He scored like 30 points a game in JV.
Max, I'll still give you buckets, but you know you're a pretty good basketball player, buddy.
Yeah, Max, you might make the team next year. There's a chance.
Max was a pretty good baseball player back in
back in the day.
Well.
Also,
but before I get to my last guy, I'm just gonna give a quick shout out to really every baseball player I played with, because if there was more spots on this list, I mean, you guys all be there, especially like my closer friends, Murph, AJ, Teo, Goody, CK, Slim, all you guys, Chunks, Matt Alexander. Jesus, a little too young for us, but I know he's going to do great things too. All you guys all deserve to be on this list. You guys are all brothers for life. Even the older guys like Mark Toscano, Sean Hilwa, Gavin French, who am I missing? Will Havens, Ian Crawford, Andrew LeClaire. All you guys made playing baseball in high school probably one of my favorite things I've ever done in life. Love you all part of the baseball family. And I don't think it's a lie to say that probably the last 6 years, going back to when Xander Ferlenda and Jake Binder and Chris McGee won the sectional championship when we were in 7th grade, going up to our last year of high school last year, was probably the best 6-year stretch of baseball that's ever been played at JD. I mean, we probably won over 120 games in 6 years. 3 sectional championship appearances, countless guys playing in college now. So shout out to Dara for that. Did a great job. And I love everyone that I played with, and I really wish I could put you guys on the list. But for the last guy on my list, I got my brother Steve. Steve was a great football player, as we all know, and played basketball up until his junior year. But going based off of football, I mean, he played both ways pretty much all 3 years in high school. And now in college, he's playing defense, whereas we all thought he was going to play offensive line when he went to college because of how good he was. But there's not much else to be said. I mean, playing both ways when you're pretty much the only guy on your team that can compete with the other big guys on the other team, especially your senior year in high school, so you can't really say anything else about that. And then on the basketball court, when we were all younger, Steve was always good. And then as we got older, his game started to develop as people caught him in height, even though he doesn't want to hear it. He became more of a shooter. But when we were younger, I mean, Steve was a dog and always was a dog. Great competitor, great athlete, and someone that was always fun to play with and still.
Appreciate it, Gib.
You're welcome.
Next guy on my list is Stephen Baker as well. You know, many people know him for football, but I know him for Fortnite. Greatest player I've ever played with. But watching Steve just grow as a person, one of my best friends for life, forever. Watching him on varsity football was especially for his dad. We were all there for him. Keeps doing it for him. So, I mean, like Gibb said, both sides of the ball, offense, defense, and now he's killing at Cortland. And we expect him to keep doing it and win that Cortica jug next 3 years. So
appreciate it. All right, appreciate the love, brothers. Just to I'm just gonna address the guys we already talked about because I have 2 more guys in the list we haven't talked about. But of course, AJ. I'm glad everybody else has AJ in the list. Complete menace in the mound. Completely deserves to be here. You know, him and Gib just leading that sectional championship team and get AJ in the mound. Oh my God, senior year AJ, I was so happy and proud of him. That sectional championship performance against Whitesboro is easily one of the best high school performances I've seen from an athlete in their respective sport. Had to be on my list. Complete stud. Going to do great things at Emerson. Shout out AJ. And then the guy that I'm going to say next. I have one more guy after this, but we'll see how it lines up. I had to put him on here just because of how good of a football player he's been at JD, playing JV or varsity for 5 years. It's Ben Fleet. You know, he's my lineman brother in the trenches, complete beast of the run game, strong as hell, great leader. He was one of the guys that helped to really turn around the football program for a few years. And I can't wait to bash heads with him as we get older in the biggest rivalry in New York and D3 sports. In Cortica, all love and respect until they come to Stadium Row next year and we're getting the work. But shout out Fleet.
I don't know about you guys, but I got 3 people left, and they're all people like I have to name. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, I got a lot of people, or I got a couple.
But you know, one person that had to make my list, you know, best friend of mine is Stephen Baker. You know, obviously an amazing football player. You know, the best offensive lineman I've ever played with throughout my entire football career. You know, I'll never forget that one day during double sessions. You know, 1-on-1 lining up against Steve. Probably the proudest moment of his life, you know. He put me on my ass in front of the whole team. I'll never forget that. You know, that's when I realized, like, oh shit, you know, it's real.
Glad you admit to it, man. We've been talking about this for months.
Yeah, I know that. This is me finally admitting to it. But, I mean, everybody saw it, so it is what it is. But Steve, the thing about you, man, is, you know, you're also the best leader I've ever played with. You know, our senior season was tough. You know, we only won 1 game all season, but as the coaches say, we were, you know, the hardest working team they've ever coached. And, you know, I think almost all of that credit goes to you. You know, you kept us together, you know, taught me a lot about leadership, dedication, you know, just, you definitely kept our team together, man. So
appreciate it.
I'm out of people on like my list, but I don't think I gave honorable mentions at the beginning, but definitely those guys deserved in the classes below us, like Dirk and Shump, all those guys, all super good. But I didn't play with really any of them because none of them played baseball, but all studs in their respective sport. So hope whatever you guys decide to do in college, if you don't know what you're doing yet, I hope you guys, you know, do as well as you did in high school. And, you know, shout out to all you guys.
I'll just put these guys together even though they didn't play the same sport. kid sitting right across the street from me, Nick Mannion. Great track and cross country, probably one of the best cross country guys in JD history, or at least in our career. I mean, growing up with him, he was always faster than me, so I expected him to continue that, and now he's 10 times faster than me and can probably run 2 miles in the time that I can run one. And then the next guy, another OG best friend, Adam Hannes. Grew up with him, always hung out with him, and then just watching him like transform into the best, or one of the best JD quarterbacks ever, was phenomenal. And then what he did in wrestling with Jake Wright, 5-year varsity. Yeah, I mean, him and his brother, they're known for their wrestling, but Adam also had it on the football field, so respect to him.
My guy, I'm gonna name. Guys, I'm just like giving you. I'm just gonna name a few off the back, like that could easily be on this list, but are younger than us. It's just J-Mo. J-Mo's a complete beast as a goalie. Very dominant. Great player. Will Davis, Tyler Brang, Dirk are all both score the ball at will. I hope they do have some sort of season this year, because that team, that grade below us, especially for lacrosse, is stacked, and I'd love to see him have some success. But I'm just hoping for him. Last guy on my list. And this is going to be the second pair of brothers on my list, is Carter Kowalczyk. Carter was a complete baller, filled with his brother's shoes for baseball. Complete stud on the mound. The game that I think most when I think about Carter was playing that Auburn team that people were hyping up forever, going to their place in the playoffs. And I feel like he have a shutout while he was pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you guys just gave him the work offensively. He was just fucking killing up the mound. Great defensive game as a team. That was the game for, I was like, wow, this team, like I knew you guys were good, but that game was, I'm like, they're deep in the bolt, like they're deep in the rotation, and they can hit the shit out of the ball. Like, it was just, that was why I thought our senior year baseball team was one of the best teams I've gone through high school with, sectional championship or not. Definitely just stacked both the guys, and Carter definitely deserves to be on the list. And he was an underrated football player while he played. He's easily one of the smallest guys in the field, but guys like him and Goody just found a way to get it done, and we're both dogs. So Carter's my last guy on my list.
Yeah, Carter, that Auburn game was ridiculous. You stepped up when we needed you most. I don't think you've thrown that many pitches all season long because, your arm issues, but that was unreal. But another guy I absolutely have to name, another best friend of mine, right here on the show, Nolan Giblin, the best baseball player I've ever played with, 3-year varsity baseball player. But, this year, man, I mean, you're an absolute dog, one of the best competitors I've ever played with. You go into that ESM game, of course, you made that mistake, that fielding error, but you come back, you hit the walk-off, send us to the next round. I mean, all year long, you're fantastic. Sectional championship, down 2 runs, extra innings, right, already? Yeah. Fucking almost – if we were playing on our field, you hit a walk-off home run sectional championship. But you send that shit deep center, triple, tie the game up. Of course, didn't go the way we wanted it to end. But, yeah, man, now, you're playing at Mercy. You're going to do great things.
Thank you.
Absolute stud in high school, I got to say.
Yeah, so like I said, there's not really anyone else, but I am going to say one more thing. Speaking about Shane, I've always told pretty much everyone who I've ever played with that Shane is probably the best, most talented athlete, like that he could have played any sport at any level if he, like, whatever he wanted to do. I mean, he's a great basketball player. He was a great football player, and he never even knew. I've always thought Shane should have fucking just pitched his whole life because Shane was a stud on the mound. Never really got his chance, I don't think, in varsity too much because he had to play outfield, and we already had a lot of good pitchers on the team. But, I mean, Shane could have really played whatever sport he wanted to, and I think sometimes when you're good at everything, it's hard to just pick one to just, like, fall in love with and chase. But shout out to you, Shane, because you were definitely one of the most fun people I ever got to play any sport with.
Yeah, just one last thing. For me, I already didn't know the players on my list, but if you guys like us doing stuff like this, if you want to do like a baseball one or football one or basketball one, whatever, or, other athletes, miscellaneous sports like tennis and swimming that our good friend Tim recognized today, we can do stuff like that if you want, if this is more entertaining, but just let us know. I enjoyed making the list just because I was fortunate to play along a lot of guys who I'm still friends with today that were just great high school athletes. And I think it's tough to narrow it down to 15 because JD is just such a dominant school for everything that we got. Like, fuck, how many guys off the baseball team played college baseball this year? Like,
Right now, I think there's because Josh plays, Carter plays at Ithaca.
Yeah.
There's like at least 11 or 12, probably even more.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
14,
And that's within the last 2-3 years. Like, and it's insane when you have teams just develop guys. And it's like almost like JD's almost a farm club that the best players from each sport are going to go play at the next level. And you don't see that at all schools. So I think we're very fortunate to be able to play with a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I just had one more kid on our list. The youngest person on this list, Tanner Burns, like 3-sport athlete, great golfer. He went to states for golf. One of the best hockey players for our team, and then he's going to Brown for lacrosse. So he'll get his senior season next year. But I mean, we saw his junior season get canceled. But one of my good friends, nice guy, and I mean, he was just good at every sport he played. So I kind of had to throw him on the list.
Yeah, and like shout out to all those younger guys. I mean, we didn't get to play with a lot of you guys, but like Tanner, Johnny Kibe, all those guys. You guys are all studs. Definitely. I mean, just watching it, we all know, and we're just like I said before with all the other like the seniors, but the juniors and sophomores. Hope if you watch this, whatever you guys decide to do, everything turns out as good as it can get.
Yeah, the last guy on my list that I have to name is Mikey Anderson. Mikey's so much fun to watch. Man, he was so shifty. He's taking ankles all game, but he was awesome on defense too. When he was playing dog the year, we went to the playoffs, ended up losing to Indian River, but he was awesome. He's playing at Ithaca now, and he's getting some playing time there. I'll never forget when he even took my ankles in practice and turned back and just started laughing about it. But Mikey, if you see this, man, it was great having you on my football team because, you made it a lot easier for us going out there and just going to work every single game. So great leader too.
Yeah, one more thing about Mikey. Just about that moment against ESM. We're in preseason camp, and Adam's just working out with Mikey. We're doing some routes and stuff, and we're just going through like Timo. And we go in the huddle, and Kalfas says, he's like, there's going to be a game this year where it's going to be clutch, or we're going to go in overtime, or we're going to be one last play, and we're going to run this. Yeah. And we're going to throw the ball to Mikey. We're going to win the game. And, we came off a good year, but I didn't think we were going to be able to. This ESM team was just, they have, the EJ Buck, and Nigel Jefferson, this, that, whatever. And then we go to their place on their homecoming. They chose to have their homecoming against us. And Mikey Anderson makes probably one of the most, if not the most clutch play while I was in high school. Just completely, it was like a good, decent ball by Adam, but just completely dominated that DB and won that game in overtime. That was one of the coolest moments I had in my career. So that was sick when he did that. But shout out Coach Kalfas, head coach for Central Square, that shit pile now. But hey, man, it was great play.
Yeah, that catch.
One last guy, Tarky, man. Adjectives and words can't describe how elite you are on whatever field or court you ever stepped on. On baseball, man, your throws from second base to first base they were too good that Brock couldn't even catch him because you throw him 10 feet over his head. But man, you were just something special. You just, like you always said, if you were in the grade below us, man, you'd been a dog at whatever sport you played. But I'm joking, Tarky. You're a fucking scrub. You're a friend for life, and you are a pretty good backyard football quarterback for a guy that can only throw the ball 20 yards in the air.
No, seriously though, Tarky was an awesome athlete.
Yeah, no.
Everything. That's why in the baseball documentary, like, what position do you play? And he said athlete because
that's what he is. You can't define him to one sport. He's a multi-sport stud.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I think we got to give a shout out to Nolan Kinahan. Obviously, dominant on the baseball and football field, but we saw what he did on the basketball court. That Euro step is
badly
something to marvel at.
Took Ben Fish's ankles. Like, I don't know if Ben has ever recovered,
maybe we should do least athletic people and just like a top 3. And Ben Fish is definitely up there.
The thing is, if we're going to mention Kin, we got to mention that passing ability. It's like we all say, it's comparable to Lonzo. He is basically Lonzo.
If Kin was go play for the Lasers right now, he always chooses OCC Lasers as his March Madness team. Yeah, we know what he could do. And also going to acknowledge that We didn't really put any soccer players on the list.
There wasn't
but,
any in our grade to begin with. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'll just give a shout out to Andrew Battleton, Joey Bertone,
oh yeah, I forgot
Uh,
about that.
I
John
forgot.
Rosa,
Sorry.
all them, Anthony Barbuto, all the soccer players.
No, you're a marshmallow though. You're a marshmallow, bro.
Joey,
Like,
you're a marshmallow.
I have a
You
little,
could-
I have a little anger in my heart towards JD soccer. You know, I got cut in 9th grade, and I
And
never.
then you started rebirth of the volleyball career.
Yeah, so then I
Let's
moved
say
to
one thing to
volleyball,
Joey
you know,
quick.
best defensive player my junior year. Let's just not forget it. But yeah, volleyball. You know.
what'd you say, Shane?
I'm gonna say one thing to Joey quick. Joey, you're a marshmallow because I would have put you on my list maybe if you didn't break. I was about to say some bad words, but if you didn't break the iron, get me kicked out of class. If you just admitted it was you when you know it wasn't me, you could have been on my top 15 list. So I really hope you watch. I really hope you watch this, so you know. Make me look like an idiot.
Mr. Summer was pissed.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he told us the next day. Me and Steve were in a different class.
He told me word for word, leave my room. I don't care where you go. Never come back ever again. I got up, walked out, and just was walking around for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw you in the hallway, and you told me the whole story.
That's yeah, man.
All right, and last athlete before we end the video, Lear Wang didn't make it through volleyball tryouts, but so fun to play with.
His clicking ability was amazing.
And he was just so humble, like he didn't even want to like step out there and.
Yeah, I mean, we can name so many kids that just didn't take their talents to the fields that really could have just. They wanted us to have our spotlight.
Noah Coach.
I was thinking that too.
Wait, actually, shout out to Maki. Very fast, great track. I forgot there was some kid who we played football at the turf with like a couple weeks ago. He like was there with Devin.
Devin and Cookie Rojas.
Cookie, yeah, that kid was fast too. Like, I don't know, the track guys, they're all too fast. I forget all their names, but
Yeah, you guys are all amazing in every way possible. What was I saying? I was saying, Noah Coach. No, I hope you're watching this. If you ever played football, dude, the ability we could have got you a D1 scholarship. Like, all jokes aside, like you could have been Michael O'Hare 2.0 on the football field. Like, it would have been amazing. But it's been the biggest what if in history. If we could get Noah's hand down in the dirt, like you're looking at the best run game than me, him, and Fleet. 8 yards of carry. Like
Big A at center. Are you kidding me?
Oh, Big A. Shout out Big A. But never had a fumbled snap, Big A. I'll give you that one.
Big A to go.
Big A to go.
Big A is the GOAT. D's the GOAT too. D, I swear to God, if your ass isn't starting on JD baseball next year, I'm gonna kick your ass next year. So you better figure it out.
Yeah. So, but all jokes aside, we had fun making the list. If you ever want us to do something like this again, let us know. Send in some ideas.
We love all of our JD people. If you didn't make the list, we're sorry. You're probably still a great athlete.
Yeah.
We just forgot about you.
Especially you.
Like Brock. Like, all right, let's just talk about Brock.
Bobby,
Yeah, Bobby. Bobby too. Like, Bobby, you were hurt like every year. Same with Brock. Like, Bobby, you always have these tore your Achilles like playing manhunt. Like how who else would do that other than you, Bobby? But no, on the real, Bobby, you were a good baseball player, good basketball player too. And if you were a little bit bigger, I mean, dude, you're crazy athletic, super fast, super bouncy.
Bobby should have ran track. That kid's way too.
Yeah, Bobby would have been really good at one of those sports that like was just based off athleticism. Because if you go like the jumping ability, the speed, like he was a freak. But he was also a good baseball player too. And another, kid that I've played sports with my whole life. And then Brock, there's no excuses with you. Like, we're going to cut to the chase here. As we've all told you, as everyone's told you at least 50 times, you could have been a Division I quarterback. You could have been probably a Division I basketball guard if you ever like actually applied yourself to playing basketball. You could have been a Division I pitcher. You probably could have been a Division I first baseman. But you're Brat, and you have better things to do in your mind, so you're not.
Brat is just vibing. And Bobby, great athlete, horrible 2K player. So horrible 2K player.
Bobby also can't beat me, Murphy, and Shane when we're on a 3v3 team. No matter who Bobby thinks he can get, he won't beat us. Simple as that.
That's the greatest 3-on-3 team of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there's no.
Steve, you learned that the hard way, buddy. But
Steve had Chris Parker and someone else. We beat them at least 8 times in a row.
Now let me give a shout out to the best offensive tackle or offensive line in JD history, Max Churko. Also the
How
best
do we forget
basketball
about? I
player.
mean, there's so
Max
many.
Jerko has the most heart
JP.
of anyone. That is straight. That is straight facts. Max Jerko will give you any heart for any sport you need.
Yes.
Jerko's good at hustling, but that's about it.
Yes, he has
points against
more
Indian
heart
River,
than him.
and you and Chris Parker on the offensive line are the reason why we got all 42 of those. And me and Fleet are the reason we didn't have 60. So you guys, thank you for your service and left and right tackle.
The most impressive thing I think I've ever seen you do is actually on the basketball court when you manage to not only set a screen on one of your teammates shooting a jump shot in the same game, but also putting up a turnaround layup that air.
I think the most impressive thing I've ever seen from Churko is in the 3-on-3 tournament is when he absolutely threw up all over the side of the court and just jumped right back into it. Little boot.
That's all heart, man. That's all heart.
Oh, yeah, shout out to JD Volleyball. They went to states this year.
Shout out Nick Mendelis and Nick Countess.
Brevin, Chemises, Kenny Hildreth, all of them. So
fact of the matter,
what?
One other thing. Fact of the matter, JD, best sports school in CNY.
Yeah. I mean,
if we do all time, we got Dolces, Coleman, Kavanaugh.
Not even like people that have played professionally. It's just like kids that we played with that didn't make our list because of how many athletes just went to our school at the same time. Like Carter wasn't on my list like officially, but even though he's a baseball player and all baseball players that I played with are on the list, like if Carter went to like CBA, he would have been like probably the best baseball player other than probably Jason that has played there since in like the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, like everyone I had on my list is the capability, if not already playing a college sport, and you don't see that everywhere. We just produce them like it's nothing. ESM praises the one and only guy they get to go to the next level every year, but we're fortunate enough to have multiple in every sport because that's why we're more dominant every way, shape, or form than that school and institution. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just tough. Like when you have this many, like
we are a 1,000 kid public school, and we just produce athletes.
Yeah, like it's like I'm just thinking about like our friends, like fucking Goody was a maniac, whatever sport he played. He was a dog in football. For a kid that was the smallest to him, he was fucking good. Baseball, he was a stud. Didn't play outfield till the senior year in high school. Was probably the best outfielder that's ever. Him and Luke Smith are probably the 2 best outfielders that I played with.
Yeah, no, for sure.
There's just so many kids.
I mean, in baseball, I literally told Goody, like, yo, if you can get to it and it's like in right field,
yeah, you can just go get it.
Call me off and go get that shit. Like,
yeah. We'll do a part 2 if it's highly requested. Hopefully this is one that we get the whole school to watch. That'd be amazing. Make sure to follow all the Instagrams.
Oh yeah, and Tim, talk about your friend's dumb podcast that we need to.
Oh yeah. I only know one of the kids. Chris, if you're watching this, Chris, I love you.
Wait, is this the Chris?
No. Fuck you, Chris.
No. You don't have. No, but this is the OG podcast. We had to change our bio because his podcast bio, the best sports. No. This is the OG. Okay, we made this shit 12, maybe 14 days ago, something in that area. As long if we keep getting followed by podcasts, we know that we're the best.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are the OG.
Tim, where is this? Is this Chris kid from? Like, where is he from?
Long Island.
Oh my! All right. You know what? Next topic.
Nice kid though.
Why upstate is far superior to Long Island?
Oh, far
superior.
Yeah, we're on the topic right now. We're better. Period. It's over. We've already distinguished the topic, and we're correct. Just really quickly, just because he asked me to. This is much like our list. I'm gonna give out the very, very quickly, no description. King Omir's top 15 list. Max, I just got this sent to me. Peyton Summer, Max Schoen, Pat Murray, Ryan Archer, Grayson Birds, myself, Mikey Anderson, Jake Fred, Kelvin.
Himself?
Me.
Oh! I thought you meant Almir.
In the sense, this was when he was in high school. We had the beast Ernest Shaw himself, Buddy Boeheim, Adam Hannes, Luke Smith, and we just got 2 more getting sent. Luke Smith, Connor Dirk, and Matt Carlin. Matt Carlin also could have made our list, but
oh yeah, I forgot about Matt Carlin. He was really good.
Bucket. He had the scat and
was
pretty solid list.
Yeah, for just coming up with it, probably. Well, Amir, Shump was
quicker than Shane.
That didn't have to be discussed.
Yeah.
Can I just add one more thing before we officially close this up?
Yeah.
If you guys want, hilarious content, almost daily, go follow my TikTok, s.wright.
All right, peace. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.